Morning, guys. So this morning, I'd like to talk to you about passion and purpose. More specifically, I'd like to talk to you about how you can find your passion through purpose. But before I go on to my talk, I'd like to show you a short video. So I run a social business that raises money for water and sanitation projects. So I build toilets. I'm like a plumber, but for the poor. I go into places like Kenya, Cambodia, Sri Lanka, find these projects, and then raise money to help them out. I'm going to show you a video I took earlier this year. This was taken in Kenya. And I had gotten a van and gone towards east, outside of Nairobi, into an area called Kambaland. And I was looking for a water project to work on. And this video was taken at a site. So have a look at the video. I'll explain it in a little bit as well. Hi guys, I am standing at a spring that serves about 1,600 people. I'm still in a bit of shock realizing that this is the only water source for this 1,600. It's not even a proper spring if you ask me. I mean, it's a tiny water source. I'll walk you through it. Water is literally just trickling down. People wait for it to collect here, and then they fill up the jerry cans. And as you can see, this is actually a queue. People are waiting to fill up the jerry cans for the day. From what I've heard is people line up at 5 o'clock in the morning for their water supply on a daily basis. So that's just a quick video of what I do in the field, right? So this video was taken in Kenya. And as I said in the video, this woman had been waiting there since 5 o'clock in the morning. That was about 12 o'clock at noon when I took that video. So it's a serious problem there. 1,600 people share that small trickle of water. The water and sanitation crisis is crazy. It's something else. But the reason why I showed you this video, not another video, is because after taking this video, I was walking around to take more pictures to document this particular site. And my friend Aizo, he's the one helping show me these projects, right? So I'm walking around like a tourist, taking pictures. Then Aizo shouts at me, he's like, "Navin!" And I'm like, and he's laughing his head off, right? And then he points at my shoe. I look down, and there's shit on my shoe. So I'd stepped in shit. I was like, oh. He's like, "That's human shit." And I'm like, but it's an interesting experience because when that happened, so I had been backpacking for the past 4 months, living out of my haversack. I'd spent all my money on this trip on water projects. I had given up my job, so I had no real career waiting for me. All the money I'd saved to buy a new house. I'm 28 years old. That's what you're supposed to do, I was taught. I had spent on this trip. And I'd stepped in shit in Kenya. But I was so happy. It was weird. I was so happy. And looking back, I realized that that's because that was my passion. The water and sanitation projects, doing what I do, that's what I'm passionate about. I love doing it. And it was a great feeling. Whenever I share this story with my friends and with other people, I realize that they get it. And what I realize is everyone wants to work at something they're passionate about. I watched Steve Jobs' movie over the weekend, and it reminded me of a speech he gave to the 2005 graduating class of Stanford. And in that speech, he spoke about a lot of things, but at the end of it, he said, you got to love what you do. You got to do great work, but you got to look and don't give up. And what he meant by that was you got to do something you're passionate about. And he implied that it's not easy finding what you're passionate about. You got to look, and you can't give up. Now, 80% of us, most of us, know this. We were taught this when we were young. When we asked people about our ambition, when we spoke to them about it, they said, do what you're passionate about. Go out there and find what you love. Do that. But we don't. We've given up too quickly. Instead of looking for our passion, we've got sucked into this rat race. And we got sucked into it early, right out of high school. Right out of high school, we were asked to choose subjects, choose a major, choose a degree, choose a university, and we rushed into it. We didn't look at what we were interested in. We made decisions based on what could make us the most money. So we did that for 3-4 years. Then we came out, we graduated, and instead of looking for a job that we're interested in, instead of looking for something we're passionate about, we joined the first job that was offered to us. Job market is so bad, man. You got to take the first thing that comes your way. If you're any good, if you were smart, you got a couple of job offers, you took the one that paid you the most, or was at the most fancy office, or was the most fancy to call. We didn't look for our passion. And we've given up. But Despite not looking for our passion, despite giving up that search, we all still harbor this secret desire to find it. We all believe that in the future, we're going to find our passion, man. I'm going to work at this job, become a millionaire by 30, and then I'm going to go out and, help the world, or go do that music thing I wanted to do, or go be that chef I wanted to be. So we secretly want it. But it's not going to happen. You're not going to find passion if you're not going out there and looking for it. It's not going to come and look for you. Steve Jobs was right. You're going to have to not give up and look for it. So, passion is difficult to find, but I've got a theory, or I've found out something. I believe you can find your passion by actually forgetting about money, right? So don't worry about money, and even don't worry about your passion. Instead, focus on finding a purpose you can believe in. Focus on finding a purpose that you'll believe in and that you can work at. Don't worry about money and don't worry about passion. And your purpose can be anything. My purpose was the water and sanitation crisis. Steve Jobs, his purpose was to not build computers and sell it. His job was to build personal computers that were an extension of the human body that would help people reach their dreams. Your purpose could be to start a restaurant that made people happy. It could be to provide a service. It could be to do advertisements that spoke to the soul. It could be to travel. It could be to write. It could be to be a businessman, but provide a service that helped people live better lives, more entertaining lives. Your purpose can be anything. And in fact, each person has a unique purpose. Everyone's got a different purpose. But what I'm trying to say is forget about money. Forget about your passion as well. Find a purpose that you believe in. And it's like dating. You've got to keep trying. You've got to keep trying different purposes, right? Now, a lot of you are going to say, Navin, if I forget about money, what are you talking about, man? I've got bills to pay. And to that, I've got to say one thing. Wants and needs are two different things. So you say, I need money, Navin. That's true. But a lot of the things we spend on are things we want. You want the new iPhone. You want the new iPad. You want the new car. You want the new house. You don't need that. What you need is transportation, food, lodging, security. And really, that's not much. You justify and say, I need a house in Bangsa. You don't need a house in Bangsa, dude. I mean, you can live in a room. If you're really serious about finding your passion, if you're really serious about going out there and finding a purpose you believe in, and if you're invested in it, you don't need to live in a fancy home. You don't need to keep up with people. What we've done in this life is, passion should fuel our work, but now fear is fueling our work. The fear of not making enough money, the fear of not keeping up with the Joneses. The fear of not making enough money is the first fear. Then when you make enough money, the fear of losing that money. Everyone I meet says, I can't not do my work because I got to pay my bills. The fear of failure cripples us. So my theory is this. My idea for this talk is this. It's very simple. You want to find your passion? Great. Invest in it, right? So you got to commit to it. But forget about finding your passion. Forget about money. Just focus on finding a purpose you can believe in. Now, I came up with this theory through personal experience. So I'll give you a bit of backstory about myself. 8 years ago, I was like you. I graduated. Came out. I did a degree in business, made it in marketing and finance. Extremely happy, but totally lost. No idea what to do. I thought I was passionate about business. It was the right thing to say, right? But I really wasn't passionate about business per se. So I had some free time before I started work, so I decided to go. My family was making a trip to India to visit an ashram there. So I was like, fine, free trip, let's go. Went to the ashram. Dad gave me a book titled Conversations with God by Neil Donald Walsh. It's a lot of awesome stuff in that book. But one thing that I took from that book was, he talked about purpose. And he said, the purpose of everybody is to help other people. And for some reason, that just clicked with me. That was like, oh, that's what I need to do. I need to go out there and help other people, right? And I was convinced that's my purpose. So I came back to Malaysia after this short trip and had to make a decision on what I should do for a living, right? But instead of pursuing my purpose of helping other people, I got sucked into the rat race. I got seduced by money. I made decisions that were about money. So I joined the family business. We run a training and consulting firm in HR. And I did sales, and I built the business. And I did that for about 4 years to make money, to keep up with the Joneses, to make as much money as I could to compare with my friends. And I was unhappy after 4 years. So I decided to quit. Upset my mom and dad, but that's a different story. And then I was like, okay, I'm going to pursue my purpose. Not really sure what my purpose was exactly. It was about helping other people. For some reason, I don't know what, I thought I'd become a rubbish collector. So I really became a rubbish collector, a fancy one. So I started a social business that recycled office waste for free. The purpose there was to save the environment. I've never been one of those tree huggers, but for some reason I thought this was my purpose. Started that social business, did it for a year. And I put hard work into it, a lot of hard work. And we got media coverage, the business was doing well, people were very supportive, and it was a good business. But I was not passionate about it. That was a purpose I did not believe in. So I quit, and then at this point, I had spent all my savings on this business, and I was a bit lost again. That didn't work out, and I got seduced in the rat race again, right? So it came calling, and I got a job at a recruitment firm, a damn good recruitment firm. If you don't want to be an investment banker, if you don't want to be a banker, you don't want to be a doctor, you don't want to be a lawyer, but you want to make a lot of money, do recruitment, because it pays you, man. Like, I got paid, and I got promoted quickly. I was good at what I was doing, so I got promoted quickly. I was managing people after a while, and in my first year, I was one of the top billers in Asia Pacific. They sent me to Dubai, and I dined under the stars in the desert, all very nice stuff. And after 2 years, I was doing well, I was making money. The ironic thing about money is the more you make, right? So I was making more money in this company than I'd ever done before. But the more you stress about it. So every time I got to work, it was about hitting more targets, making bigger bonuses, getting better promotions. It's a funny thing. Anyways, it wasn't what I was passionate about, so I quit. And it was scary because, I was in a position where this is what you do. You study hard, you go out, you get a good job, you make money, you buy a house. I had saved up money, I was trying to save up money for a new house. But I was not happy. And I'm one of those guys that if I'm not happy, I'm not going to do it, right? So I quit. And I said, okay, I have to go and find my purpose. So I took all my money and decided to volunteer abroad. I figured I'll go out there and I'll find disadvantaged communities and I'll help them. I'll finally pursue my purpose, or what I felt was my purpose. So I took all my money that I saved for my house and I bought a one-way ticket to Sri Lanka, to northeast Sri Lanka. Now, northeast Sri Lanka is an interesting place. Sri Lanka had been through civil war for about 2 to 3 decades. That war ended in 2005. So the war ended, but a lot of people were made homeless. They were put in refugee camps. In 2009, they had been given land and asked to go out and start a living, but with no infrastructure. So imagine that you were taken out from your beautiful home and you were put in a camp for 2 years or 3 years, and then you were asked to go out there and say, hey, listen, I give you land, go out there and start a living. So they had wandered out and they started living, right? So my job was to work for an NGO that gave out small grants, small amounts of money, like 1,000 ringgit, to women-headed households that would use this money to start small businesses and help themselves out of poverty. So my job was to walk from house to house and interview these women and to find out about the way they lived, what they used the money for, if they wanted money, what were they going to use it for, if they'd received money, what did they use it, and what did they do with it. And when I got to Sri Lanka, it was such an experience. On my first week there, I think, a woman came up to me, and I'm Sri Lankan Tamil, but I don't speak Tamil, right? I understand it. So she came up to me, and she started smiling, and she was chatting with me. I got a bit of it. Then she started crying. And she basically said, or she was telling me, why is it that they killed my husband, and then they took away my son? And she literally said, they killed my husband in one hand, and they took away my son the other hand. And she was crying, and she was bawling her eyes out. And I was smiling, and I was trying to say it's okay, but I mean, she was genuinely asking me. She was not complaining. She was genuinely asking me, and I had no answer. And at that point, I think like, something clicked maybe. So anyways, I was walking from house to house, interviewing them. Every time I visited a house, these women would take me to show me their water source. They would say, Anna, please come and see our water source. And I was like, fine. When I first was asked to see the water source, I was like, fine, like, show me this water source of yours. Where's the pipe? There is no pipe. So there is no piping in northeast Sri Lanka. Basically what they do is they dig a hole at the back of their house. And because the water table in Sri Lanka is low, it's a tropical area with good rainfall, they get water. But this hole was not protected. There was no cement around it. There was no covering on it. So if you look in, you see water spiders. You see debris. I was there during the rainy season. So when it rains, all the debris from outside gets in, and they were drinking this. So I'm like, that's not right, So, okay, you guys must boil your water, right? They're like, no, we don't boil our water. I was like, why? They were not educated. They received no health education when they were young, so they don't know about the benefits of boiling water. Then I'm like, okay, fine, so you filter it. And they're like, yeah, definitely we filter it. I'm like, great. So show me this microfiber cloth filter that you use. And she's like, oh, the sari. I was like, come on, man. So my mind was blown away. And I was visiting villages. So some villages had been helped by NGOs, and they had drilled a bore well, which is basically a deep well that's been protected, and there's a pump on top, so it's clean water, right? And the villages that had water they seemed a lot better off. I don't know what it was. The people seemed happier. They were poor, yes, but their houses looked better. Most of the houses there had mud. They were built out of mud, dung, and sticks. These houses were wooden, they were better. The kids were going to school. They looked healthier. Water had such a huge impact on all, not just health, but other areas of life as well. Anyways, 2 months. I was in Sri Lanka for 2 months. That 2 months flew by. And I had to come back for 3 weeks for a short holiday with mom and dad, spend Christmas and New Year with them. And then I was going to go to Kenya for another 2 months. And when I was taking the flight back, this is literally how it happened. I was taking the flight back. I was like, I can't possibly ignore what I saw. I'm not going to be one of those people that goes and volunteers and comes back and... So I said I had to do something about it. But I had no money left. So I had no more savings left, right? I'd spent all my money on flight tickets and lodging for my trip. So the only thing I could do was to fundraise. And I had no experience fundraising either. But I came back, had my mom's chicken curry, which I missed so much, and then put down my bag in that order. And then I picked up the phone and I called my friend who played in a band called Kyoto Protocol. So it's a big band, and I figured if this guy agrees to play at an event, I could sell tickets. If this guy said no, I wouldn't have done that event, right? I had 3 weeks in Malaysia. I was not going to do much, right? So the same night I called Fuad, the guy that's in Kyoto Protocol, and he said, yeah, I will love to play at your event. And after he said yes, after that event was on, I was a different person. For the next 3 weeks, I was in front of my Mac. I was just inviting friends to these events. I told my friends about it. Someone got a free venue for us at Pavilion in KL. Another person got Carlsberg to sponsor beers for the event. More bands got involved. In that 3 weeks, we had filled out this venue. My target was to raise 6,000 ringgit. That was like a stretch target for me, because that would mean I could drill a well in Sri Lanka. We raised 12,000 ringgit. Thank you. So since that first fundraiser, I've now gone to Kenya and worked on water projects there. I've gone to Cambodia. We're working on water and sanitation projects there. And more people have got involved. With the help of my friends, we have helped over 4,000 people in the last 9 months gain access to clean water and sanitation. And this is my passion. This is what I'm passionate about, right? But the interesting thing about this is, when I set out to find my passion, I was not finding for my passion. I was looking for a purpose that I believed in. I had some inclination. I didn't know water and sanitation was my purpose. I had some inclination it was got to do with helping people. It was not food, it was not technology, it was not business, it was nothing like that. It was about helping other people. I didn't know what it was, but what I did was I forgot about passion, I forgot about the money, I didn't work for the money. I just went and searched for this. I found it. And when I found it, I found my passion. So this is what I'm trying to say. Steve Jobs was right. You got to love what you do. You got to do great work, but you can't give up, right? You got to look for it. And I want to leave you with this. If there's anything that you do after this, don't, and I'm very serious, don't work for money. Work for a purpose you believe in. It is so worthwhile. Thank you very much.